Hey guys, Andy from the Rad Company, and in today's video, I'm gonna show you the basic steps of how to wash a car. All right, so some things you're gonna need for this very basic wash is gonna be a garden hose. You're also gonna need a 5-gallon bucket here, and then a grit guard for that 5-gallon bucket that's going to keep the contamination from coming up into the mitt. And then you're also going to need, of course, a pH balanced car wash soap. No, do not use your Dawn dish soap. And then I also have a dedicated wheel cleaner here. I have a quick detailer, and then I also have a very high quality drying towel. I have multi-purpose towels for everything from spot cleaning to door jams. I have a high quality wash mitt, and then I also have a dedicated tire brush and a dedicated soft bristle brush. So that's everything you need. Let's jump into the wash. All right, so now that we've discussed everything that you need for the wash, let's talk about when and where to wash a vehicle. As you can see, we're sitting here in a nice, cool, shaded area. And that's because, contrary to popular belief, washing in direct sunlight is actually not ideal, although it can be kind of fun. And that's because we don't want that water drying on the surface. Most water is gonna contain a high amount of mineral content that could potentially leave water spots behind. And also, we don't want our soap drying on the surface as well. So working in a nice, cool, shaded area is going to be our best bet. Now you also want to make sure not to work on a hot vehicle, making sure that the hood is cool, the brakes are cool, the wheels are cool before you jump into the wash as well. We understand that everybody's situation is different and not everyone has a big shade tree in their front yard. And if that's the case, it's all right. Just make sure to do your wash first thing in the morning or at the end of the day, avoiding that direct sunlight, especially when it's so harsh. And other than that, you should be able to jump straight into the wash. So let's get after it. All right, so jumping straight into the wash process, we're actually gonna start with the wheels first, which is something that not a lot of people do. And the reason for this being is that the less time we have water sitting on the surface, even in the shade, is gonna be a less of a chance that we're gonna have hard water spotting. So I'm gonna grab both of my brushes here, I'm gonna throw them into my bucket where my grit guard is. I'm gonna take my hose, switch it to a nice filling function, and start filling up my bucket. So for wheels, I like to fill up my bucket about halfway full to 3/4 of the way full. And then from here, I like to take just a little bit of car shampoo, just a little bit, just to add a little bit into the bucket here. Makes it smell a little bit nicer and also adds a little bit of lubrication. And so from here, take my hose again, get that soap nice and mixed up in there, and you'll start to see it froth up. Makes our brushes a little bit harder to find, but trust me, it works a lot better. All right, so for which wheel you start out with first, it really doesn't matter. I'm gonna start here on the passenger side front wheel, and I'm going to give this a spray to get started, avoiding hitting the rest of the paint just so we don't have a ton of water sitting on the surface. And that looks like a pretty good rinse. Now from here, I'm gonna take our wheel cleaner. So the wheel cleaner that we're using has a built-in fallout remover in it. It's gonna help remove some iron contamination. So if you start to see it turn purple, just know that's totally normal. But we're gonna be spraying it on the face of the wheel and the tire. And then from here, we're gonna let this dwell for just a minute or two. We don't wanna let it dry. So if it starts to dry, spray it with a little bit more wheel cleaner or just simply rinse that area with a hose again and then restart the process. Starting with the tires first, we're gonna give it a couple more sprays of our wheel cleaner here. Take our brush and start agitating the tire. The key to a clean looking wheel is actually a clean looking tire. Trust me when I say that. And once we've done that, what I like to do is I like to spray out my brush before throwing it back in the bucket. Nice and clean, back in there. Then taking my soft bristle brush, spraying a little bit more wheel cleaner on here. Take this, start working from the intersection outward. All right, so now that we got the wheel and the tire clean, we're gonna go ahead and rinse it and check our work. Now it looks pretty good to me, but another trick that you can do, in case you don't have a ton of extra fancy brushes, you can also just throw one of those all-purpose microfiber towels into the bucket and use that to clean the wheel. Just bring it out a little bit and go through and get between the spokes and clean it up, and it should work perfectly fine. But in this case, I think the wheel turned out pretty good, so repeat the process for the next 3 wheels, and then you can jump into the paint. So for the rinse, this should be pretty straightforward and easy to explain. The reason why we want to rinse off the vehicle first before taking a mitt to it is because we want to remove a lot of that heavy contamination to reduce the chance of scratching or marring. So if there is literal mud on the car, you're going to want to rinse that off. This is just like rinsing off a dish before you put it in the dishwasher. So it's common sense, but not everybody knows this. So we're going to be rinsing from top to bottom, making sure all that dirt dwells downward. So I'm going to put the sprayer here on my fan setting. I don't want to use a pinpoint setting. I want to use something that's going to have good coverage with a little bit of power. So with our pre-rinse done, we can jump into the actual wash. Now, some of you intermediate to pro detailers might be seeing this and saying, Anthony, where's the second bucket for a 2-bucket wash method? Guys, this is going to be the basics of a wash. So if you're watching this, this is for a beginner. This isn't for a pro or an intermediate person. Yes, you can add an extra bucket to the wash if you want to, but for the most part, this is 1 bucket just to simplify things. So reaching down into here, I'm gonna pull out my nice soapy wash mitt. Give it a slight wring out here, froth it up if I need to. And we're gonna be using this at kind of a medium wetness. You can either put your hand into the mitt or you can tuck the cuff. I prefer to tuck the cuff. Bring it out just a little bit more. Find a nice good sudsy amount. Then we're gonna take it to the top of the vehicle. Now I'm gonna start here at the top section and I'm gonna be working in straight lines, meaning I'm not going to Mr. Miyagi it. I'm going to go nice straight path, seeing where I've gone. This is going to reduce the chance of extra swirling or potential marring, because contrary to popular belief, right, marring can happen in any direction, swirling can happen in any direction, but at least if we're going in a straight line and if you were to potentially pick up some contaminants, it's going to reduce the chance of it looking like a circle and more like looking like a nice clean straight line, if that happens. So what I'd like to do is bring the bucket closer to me so I'm not making a bunch of trips, and I'm gonna be working 1 panel at a time. So bigger panels, I'll do half a section. So I did half of the roof here, then I'll jump to half the hood, but I'll start with all of my horizontal surfaces first before jumping into my vertical surfaces. So coming down to here, you can knock out my windshield, lifting my wipers as needed, getting underneath there, and then I can flip my mitt and go straight down to my hood and knock out this half. Again, working in straight lines. And if you feel like your pad is losing some soapiness, just dunk it back into your bucket and bring it back to the hood. All right, so now that we finished washing down the vehicle, now we can jump to the rinse portion. Now, the reason why I went from top to bottom is because most of the heavier contamination is gonna be on the lower sections of the vehicle. We don't wanna drag the bottom stuff up to the top. So working top to bottom is gonna be our safest bet to reduce scratching. So taking our hose here, we are going to rinse the car thoroughly, removing all of the soap. Rinse as much as necessary to get all that soap off the car, as we don't want any of that residue sitting on the car drying. All right, so now that the car is rinsed, we can jump into the drying process. So I have my drying towel here, and I have my quick detailer. What I'm gonna do with my quick detailer is spray it onto the wet surfaces of the car, one panel at a time, and dry it into it, because this is gonna add some lubrication and add a little bit of shine and make drying a heck of a lot nicer, easier, and it's gonna smell a lot better. So that's gonna be the process. For the wheels, we'll be knocking those out afterwards with one of our extra all-purpose towels, and we're gonna be using the same stuff on those as well. So what I like to do is start with drying the vertical surfaces first, so meaning the sides of the car, before jumping into the top of the car, and this one towel should be able to do all of it beautifully. So with the car dry, the car has a nice shine to it. It's very slick to the touch because of that quick detailer that we added. Now it's time to move on to the wheels. Now, one thing that you can do if you want to add the cherry on top is a tire dressing, which will complement the work that you put into the wheel already, deepening the look of that tire. But first, we need to clean the wheel and dry it first. So using our towel here, one of our all-purpose towels, taking a little bit of our quick detailer, spraying it onto the wheel itself, a couple sprays into the towel, and we're gonna go through and dry off all that water. This is also gonna add a little bit of shine to the wheel as well. And with that dry, we're gonna add our tire shine. A little shake here, apply it to our applicator, apply it to the tire. And for this, you can use an applicator or you can use a towel, but we're gonna be applying this, giving it a nice deep shine. And then, if you would like to, you can take your towel and you can knock it down just a little bit to remove some of that shine to give it a more natural look. All right, so with the car dry, the wheels cleaned, and the tires dressed, this thing looks pretty dang good, right? Now, if you have to do any type of touch-up work, grab your microfiber towels, your all-purpose towels, and your quick detailer and knock out any residual water as well as your door jams. But other than that, hey, you're finished. You've done it. Sit back and admire all of your hard work that you put into your wash. So, as always, if you guys enjoyed this video, please let us know down in the comments. If you want to follow along this process for yourself, we have all of the links to everything we use down below so you can follow it step by step. So again, if you want to see more of these basic how-tos, please leave a comment and let us know what you want to see next. So as always, thanks for watching, have a great day, and stay tuned for more videos right here at The Rag Company.